Welcome to Be Now for November the 7th, Tuesday, November the 7th. My name is Don McLeod, and as usual, I'm joined by Fazell Khan. Last week, we didn't have an intro, and this week, we don't have an intro because we've been very busy and trying to get a whole bunch of different things done. So, welcome to the show. If you expected a jazzy, jazzy upscale thing going on, you got to wait till later. Faz, how's it going?
I'm good. Actually, last week, Don, we didn't even have a show, let alone an intro, because
Well,
it was Halloween, remember?
oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Last week we were on. It was the week before. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully you had a busy. Did you have a lot of kids for Halloween, by the way?
Three. I had three kids.
Wow.
We didn't get home till 7, so we did see some people walking around the neighborhood. It might have been maybe 5 or 6 if we were little lights were turned on the whole time. But it's I don't know. What about your neighborhood? How many kids?
Not many. It's like, you know what? I think all over Brampton, because I do follow some of the, the pages on Facebook and stuff like that. A lot of people were talking, and they were saying they didn't really have that many kids. And I think part and parcel of it is kids get, all sorts of treats nowadays anyway. I don't think that they need to go trick or treating. It's not like when we were kids growing up.
You can never, as a kid, Don, you can never have enough candy. So
yeah, well, that's true too. But
there's
kids
no
are like
way.
that.
I think if you ask any kid, yeah, of course they want to go out. I think maybe a lot of the parents are tired or they don't want to go. They just want to hand the candy out. I don't know. I heard 46% of people don't give out candies anymore.
What's the percentage?
46%.
Wow, 46%.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that?
Which means kids have to walk a lot further to get candy now. Every other house.
Is that just in Canada? Because I know, like, the United States.
I don't know the details of that, Stan. But anyways, Halloween is over.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff coming up, and we also want to talk about Peel Police briefing. Both you and I were at today, and other stuff.
Yeah, so let's jump into the police briefing. That was Project Sterling. We were there covering for, and the mayor was there. There was firearms, and it was about 20 people. There was 8 adults and 12 young offenders for a total of 20 people arrested for carjackings and pharmacy robberies.
Pharmacy robberies, yeah.
Yes.
Apparently, well, I saw the numbers, but pharmacy robberies were up in the last year significantly.
They said in 2022 there are 135 armed pharmacy robberies. There was a 400% increase from the year before. 2023, there's been a 67% increase in carjackings in Peel. So apparently, what these juvenile delinquents were doing was basically stealing cars and then robbing pharmacies. And then,
was it so it was the same people doing all this stuff?
Well, they had 20 people. There was 8 adults and 12 young offenders. They got 103 criminal charges for the 20, and they 6
and
years.
Are they in jail right now, Don, or are they back on the street?
That I don't know, because like that's our justice system. Like it or leave it, that's the way it goes. But I mean, some of these there was a failure to comply with release orders, the Youth Justice Act. So there was a file against that. Failed to comply with release orders. Six filed against. So there was a release order again. Breach of probation. There was 4 charges. So 4 of these people were already out on probation, and so they breached probation. Failure to comply with a weapons prohibition. So they were banned from having weapons. They actually got those charged on top of them. So it's quite the long list. These boys are facing, like I said, 103 criminal charges. 2 firearms with ammo and 6 imitation firearms.
They didn't release the names of anybody today.
No, because I think they still have to go to court.
Well, right? Especially the young offenders. I don't know. I don't think that process is working. Like it's like there's no accountability when you can't even name people, right?
Well, like obviously the charges are there when they actually get charged. Then you can name them, not the young offenders, but the other adults. But I mean, these guys were out on probation. So, like, there was 4 breach of probation charges, which means 4 of them were out on probation, and then 2 actually were, they weren't allowed to possess any weapons. 2 of them, obviously were caught with weapons. So it's like,
What, they would go and steal a car, then go rob a pharmacy and get their drugs and money and what?
yeah. Well, don't forget, last year there was a lot of pharmacies that were being robbed for drugs, and then the pharmacies put in the time lock, and that's one of the things they did. They said, "Well, we can't open the safe because it's on a time lock." But last year, there were a lot of robberies for that type of thing. So uh, there was. They said Peel Police has seen a decline in carjackings by 11% and pharmacy robberies by 62% compared to the previous years. So the pharmacies, when they put in that time lock, that's actually stopped a lot of things, right? So,
And carjackings, you and I were actually talking before the media conference about what would you do if somebody tried to carjack you. And I said I'd press the accelerator, but you know, in the midst of something like that, I think we all would panic a little bit. And the police said what?
well, the police said basically give me your car. I mean, it's, like if you're taking a car, it's like, okay, fine, here, take the car. I got insurance. I'll deal with it after, right? There's no sense in, I mean, if somebody's putting a gun to your head through a carjacking, that's one thing, right? You just step away. If you got a baby in the car or something like that, I mean, that's a situation that, you got to make sure that, they understand there's something in the car, like let me get my baby or whatever, right? So I remember in the 70s in South Africa, and I was talking to you about this story before, there was a lot of carjackings, right? That was the time around Nelson Mandela, the whole South African thing was changing. They had a car basically in South Africa that would shoot flames out of the driver's side and the passenger side. This was actually real. It would shoot. It's like a flamethrower coming up. If you thought someone was going to carjack you, they just pressed a button and the flames would come in.
Can you get that on Amazon now?
Well, I don't think you can get on Amazon, but I mean, it was just like that's what they were doing because they were hijacking cars all the time in South Africa. They were known for it, right? Johannesburg. You can do a little research, but that is true.
And then there was also a somebody on Main and Vauden in a parking lot. There was
killed. Yeah, last week. Yeah,
in a parking lot. Somebody reversed back
Yeah.
aggressively, and I don't know what the word is. I was going to use the word squish, but basically.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an intentional homicide or not, but I don't know what the situation is. All I know is someone died at that Vauden location. So, and then there's been a lot of stuff on social media about car crashes in Brampton and so on. So there was a 6 or 9 car pile up down at what was it? Somebody took a video on social media. I think it was Airport Road and or Torbram and Steeles. It was like you could
8 car pile up on Torbram and Steeles, which are local roads.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, we wanted to talk about that quickly. That's Peel Police doing what they're doing.
One of the other things, and we got the video, I guess it'll come out later, is Peel Police said this is not the place you want to be doing crime because they're really boosting a lot of their resources to address a lot of these things because it is worrying for people, right? We don't want things to get out of hand here.
Well, at the same time, I mean, you mentioned right off the top, they're out on bail. The youth justice system and the courts, whether it be federal or provincial, that is something that, is there for a reason. They have to change. That has to go through the federal for the Youth Justice Act. That has to change. I know that Mayor Patrick Brown and I think many police chiefs across Canada have been asking the federal government to change that act. Also, someone out on bail.
Especially if it's your second gun offense, like you should not be back on the streets.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, there's four of them basically with breach of probation. So it's like, okay, once you breach probation the first time, there shouldn't be an opportunity. It
shouldn't be a second time, right?
Exactly, to go on because you got weapons charges and everything else here, right? So it's like, it's a long list. Like I said, 103 criminal charges laid. So these boys are in for, a lot of plea bargaining, I'm sure, with their lawyers. But at least you got 20 of these clowns off the street. But yeah, to me, it was like 8 adults.
They're from Brampton too, right?
12 young offenders.
I think it's called Project Sterling. These people were from Brampton.
Yeah, they said they were all from Brampton. And it was connected with a Brampton gang as well. They didn't mention the gang, but they did mention that it was a gang based in Brampton that was courting the young people to be able to do this stuff and then using them. So
I remember like way back in the Jennifer Evans time as chief, we were talking about
yeah.
gangs coming up from Toronto to set up base in Brampton. Clearly,
Yeah.
still a big problem.
Well, when we did that interview with Jennifer Evans, and it's still on our Brampton Focus page, and that interview is still there. You can go take a look at it. I mean, we were talking to the drugs and gang person who was in charge of guns and gangs at the time, and his what was it? Something like close to 100 gangs in Brampton at that time, with well over 1,000 members. So that was at that time, right?
Yeah. It's a difficult time for people. Choosing crime, though, is never going to pay.
No. Well, unless it's white collar crime.
That pays, yeah.
Yeah, as we know from our friend Dougie, like.
Hey, we don't want to get sued here, Don. But
now that you mentioned, I didn't say the last name. I just said Dougie.
Yeah. Well, now that you mentioned Dougie, there's a report that came out that basically said there's ample capacity on the 407. And one immediate improvement that we can make to the entire road system in the GTA is to start moving more trucks onto the 407 and subsidize the cost for the driver. And that could actually remove the need to even build the 413, which is estimated. I think I saw the number of 6 billion. It could save 6 billion if we just did that. And it would be immediate, right? You get trucks off of some of the trucks anyways, off of the 401 onto the 407.
Well, that was discussed years ago. I remember Andrew Horvath, saying that basically while we're building a highway, 407 is, even during the pandemic, trucks used the 407, and then Doug Ford, who is the premier, basically wrote off that debt. I think it was like, is it close to $1 billion or something like that? He just wrote it off for trucking companies, saying, okay, you don't have to pay it. But I mean, the 401 is one of the busiest highway stretches, in the GTA across Canada.
In North America, I think it's one of the busiest.
And it's, at the best of times, it's a nightmare to travel. And, there's a lot of trucks. Yes, we need trucks to move goods because our rail service sucks. Most European countries use rail to transport goods, not trucks. They do the railhead and then smaller trucks from the railhead into the cities. In North America, we're truck nuts, right? Everything has got to be trucked, not trained. So,
but luckily for us, though, Don, we have the provincial minister of transportation as our local MP in Brampton South. Actually, he's my MP in Brampton South. So he's going to fix all of these transportation problems, I think.
Really? Well, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. There doesn't seem to be much going on from our local MPPs in any shape or regard. I know that's why the housing minister was here a couple of weeks ago in regards to getting housing kick-started from the federal government, bypassing the provincial government and just saying, hey, screw you guys, we're gonna actually help build housing. So
did you see the video that was out with Doug Ford saying, hey, you guys need to work with us?
No. No, I did see the video, but I'm like, no, we don't need to work with you, because they wanted to work with you in the beginning. I mean, where's that $4 billion that the federal government transferred in COVID funds that nobody knows, or what is it, 44 million or something like that? It was
a lot of money. It goes into
astronomical amount of money. Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm the federal government, I'm just saying, okay, the provinces don't want. Look, we're going to go directly to the municipalities. Screw that. And, it's a good strategy. At least you're building houses, because I haven't seen one of those $500,000 houses that Doug said was going to build with a little backyard and a picket fence like pre-war housing. I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah. So Justin must have missed what we said earlier. We were talking about the study that came out showing that we should divert a lot of the truck traffic from the 401 onto the 407 and subsidize it. Yeah, and Steeles Avenue. Oh, Don, I live in the I can walk.
Dude, you don't have to tell me. I travel around the city just as much as you do. Steeles is a nightmare. It's getting worse on. Don't forget Goreway Drive and Highway 50. Try and go up Highway 50, because you've got a lot of those big warehouses right now, right? You've got a lot of the big showrooms, 200, 300 million square foot warehouses up there.
I don't
It's
think
only
it's
got
200 million square foot. That'd be
eh?
big. It's not 200 million. It's 2
I
million.
said a million square foot. You have 1,250,000 square foot
Okay.
warehouses up there. There's some big ones. There's
Yeah.
don't forget you have the Magna plant that's going to be up there as well, right? So that's the electrical Magna plant up there
Yeah.
around that area.
So yeah, the logistics industry, as we know in Brampton, is big, and
yeah,
they should be advocating to use the 407. But I see them advocating for the 413, which is, even if they start digging today, that's not going to be done for another 10 years.
10 years, let's say 20, and that cost is going to balloon like crazy. Like how long did it take to build the 407? That wasn't overnight. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking, and the truck traffic is only going to get worse. Because and I know the logistics, as you said, Brampton is a big logistical center. We have all sorts of warehouses. You got the Best Buy, you got this all up Airport Road, all the way going up to Highway 50 to Gore, and it's only building as it goes. So that's something that steels is a big concern, because you have a lot of those. Once you go past Airport Road, you have a lot of logistical centers on that side of the
Well, I know whenever
road
there's
track.
an accident on the 401, all the traffic gets diverted on Steeles near where I live, Steeles
Yeah,
Mississauga Road area. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, speaking of our local MPPs, I got a beef with all of them. I got
Okay.
a beef with a specific MPP in Doug Fort's, a conservative provincial MPP who is out there spewing all sorts of, I'm going to call it Islamophobic stuff. And they just censured in the legislature Sarah Jama from the NDP for basically not recognizing the violence that Hamas committed on October 7th to start this whole Middle East disaster that's going on right now. So they censured Sarah Jama. If you look at what this conservative MP has been saying, I'm not even going to say her name. Actually, I don't actually know either her full name. I just read her tweet. She retweeted something from an MP in Belgium that was showing Muslims praying on the street in Toronto in a large group, and basically saying these people are doing this. This is not, they're not praying, they are showing power, which is a very, for Muslims, like
What does she think they're calling in their chants they're calling for a jihad? Is that what she's saying?
well, that's what people are interpreted, because when I see somebody post a comment like that, I will see what other people are saying about it, and it's just so inflammatory and divisive. There's no place in Canada for what this MP is currently doing. If you look at her Twitter feed, this is all she's doing. She's feasting off this Middle East disaster to talk about the Iranian government, like,
Iranian? What? Yeah.
because
Okay.
she's a Canadian Iranian, and this is all about.
So does she like Iran, or does she not like Iran?
No, her family immigrated from Iran when she was one. And she's basically saying, "Oh, back in Iran, when you do this in public, you're showing power and force." Well, she moved here when she was 1 year old. Anyways, I've asked our 5 MPs, even privately, to tell me you do not agree with this woman. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow, and if they
They're
don't,
not going to say anything. They never.
oh
They
no,
never said
privately,
anything.
I don't need them to go publicly
Yeah.
and within their caucus start causing chaos. That's not my goal. I want to know my local conservative MPs who are part of the provincial government are not in line with what this woman is saying, because it is going to cause a lot of harm to people.
This is an MPP, not an MP you're talking about.
This is an MPP in
Correct.
Doug Ford's cabinet.
Yeah.
And I'm asking our 5 MPPs, our 5 conservative MPPs, to call her out on this. And if you don't want to call her out, at least send me a note privately that you don't agree with what she says, because I'm not going to let this one sit, Don. I wake up every morning, like as I said a couple of weeks ago, I look through my Twitter feed and I get angry at.
Well, there's a lot of anger on Twitter.
Right, but I'm not on Twitter to show my anger. I'm there. I think there are people on Twitter just out there to divide us.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean,
and our goal should all be to work towards peace. Yeah. And that doesn't mean choosing sides. It means figuring out a way forward so that kids aren't dying anymore, right? Whether it be kids in Israel or kids in Palestine, no kid should die. There should not be any justification for that, any requirement for hostages to be released, for Hamas to stop their bombing, for Israel to stop. Just do not kill kids. There's no, and all this could be done at the same time, right? You can release the hostages, you can stop bombing Palestine, Hamas can stop launching their rockets. Where are our world leaders on this?
Well, that was my next thing. It's like you can't, like, yes, it's a simplistic solution when you say, yeah, they should stop this and this and this. Both sides have, Hamas is a terrorist organization bent on destroying Israel. They don't care, right? They spend their money on tunnels and everything else. So,
people
but
expecting Hamas to listen to anything anybody
well, exactly.
says.
But at the same time, your MPs and your MPPs are elected officials. At this point in time, when there's a critical situation, right? When there's a tough situation, you would like to hear from your elected official, or you would like to see someone step up, because that's what they ran for, to represent people. They didn't run theoretically to run for 2 times and get a pension and disappear. You would like to think that there was some sort of either ethical or moral justification that they were running for public office. They all say we run, because we want to do good in the community. But at the same time, there's some tough choices that have to be made when certain things get tough, right? You have to make that decision. You have to call out whether it be anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or people doing the wrong thing ethically or morally. And yes, morals change, ethics don't, right? Ethics stay standard. I don't care what time frame you're talking about. Yes, morals change, but that's why you're elected, and that's why you get the big bucks. And for a lot of these MPs and MPPs, you never hear from them. You never hear from nothing. All you do is you see photo ops, and that's it, right? And me and you are on the same side in this. That's one of the reasons I do not like party politics on the provincial and the federal level. I think municipal, okay, we can't even get. Can't get it. You're absolutely right. If you can't get them to oppose the Peel regional split, I don't think they're going to act on any higher level. You can't even get them to call out on the green belt in regards to Doug Ford's, investigation by the RCMP. You can't get them to call out anything that basically affects the lives of their constituents.
And a lot of these MPs, especially Pramit Sarkar, I'm going to pick on him because he's a cabinet minister, right? He's now been in government for 5 years. Where's our hospital? Where's the shovel? Where's the ceremony to see the digging start? Where's our third hospital? What have they done in 5 years for Brampton?
Well, there's a lot of people asking, what has Doug Ford done? Right. So it's like, he's the leader of the party.
Well, it goes back to he's the leader, right?
Exactly.
They come here when it's time to get votes. I think what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening with the Green Belt, I don't know what's going to happen with any level of government anywhere in Canada, because
you take a look at Alberta.
Chaos, and they're doing crazy things.
You look down in the States, right? You take a look out west with Alberta, right? The insanity going on out there. You take a look at what's happening in Ontario. You take a look down some of the southern states talking about banning abortion, banning books, banning this, banning that. And then you look at the hardliners over. There's, in France, in Germany, you have the far right party rising in Germany as well. Again, so the world situation in regards to that is, this is the most I've seen in regards to, even during the Vietnam War and stuff like that. There wasn't this much friction. Even during the Afghanistan War, the Iranian War, there seems to be,
well, I think also, as we talked about before, there's so much social media. Everybody's connected. Everybody's choosing sides. I think the Loyalist College. I'm not familiar with them too much, but their journalism program, they're ending it next year because there's not enough people applying to the journalist program, because there's not enough jobs out there. And so this is to me a crisis, because we're going to get more people on social media. Like, there's so much fake news on there now, right? And there's people, I think, that get paid to just push a specific narrative. They may not even believe it.
I heard today that basically Tucker Carlson is going to be going and speaking in Alberta, and it's like, really, Tucker Carlson? He was fired from Fox for misinformation, and now you're going to get the UPC party having him and Danielle Smith talk about like really, this is an expert. This guy is under any other regime, the guy would have been jailed for misinformation.
Yeah.
It's, to me, it's a ridiculous scenario, and you have slanted news organizations that are owned by a conglomerate of people. Where's the independent journalism that you used to see like maybe 10, 50, 20 years ago? Where's the Walter Cronkites, right? So
And
it's just,
you look at social media, you see the people who are writing the articles, and then go look to see what they're saying on social media. So you shouldn't be writing any article because people should not be consuming anything you're saying.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. But there's a pro and a con to social media, just like anything else, right? There's good and there's bad. At the same time, it's exposing all sorts of things going on in the world, but at the same time, it opens up the Pandora's box of misinformation, and people like, look at the anti-vaxxers and the free dumb convoy and all these other idiots that get a platform and they can spew whatever, and you have people lapping it up. I think what they say, somebody like 47% of Americans think that Trump is telling the truth. I'm like, Jesus.
And you know what? There was a recent poll came out in the U.S. showing that Trump is ahead in some of those, in four of those swing states, and now there's pressure on Biden potentially to not run. But even if he backs down now, it's like the Democrats are so behind in terms of getting another leader up there and known.
Well, I took a look at some of the Republicans they got representing them: Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Bobbitt. I mean, like, these people they're idiots. They're morons. George Santos,
right? But in this media environment, the louder you speak, the more attention you get. The more controversial you are, the more attention you get. Like this show, we're not very controversial. Our goal is not to go worldwide. It's just to engage with local residents. But you and I could use our time to say inflammatory things, and people will react to it. Like there was a show we did a few months ago on a school trustee, and we disagreed, and we showed a video of exactly what she says, and then she goes on a tirade calling us all sorts of stuff. We could have kept that going, but what is the point? What is the point of that?
Well, here's the thing that we informed everybody. So there's few things upcoming in Brampton that if you want to go. Number one, Saturday, November 11th, obviously it's Remembrance Day parade in downtown Brampton. That starts at 10:30. Probably show up at 10. You can see them warming up in the bands and stuff like that. Go down the Cenotaph. So that starts. I think there's a flyover, from the Brampton Flying Club and so on and so forth. So that's happening on Saturday. On Sunday, they have a big Diwali at Sesquicentennial Park. If people don't know where that is up by.
Just Google it. Sesquicentennial
Park. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of.
You can spell it however you want. I think Google will figure out what you're trying to say.
And it goes from 4 to 10, so it's a big Diwali celebration where they'll have fireworks. Obviously,
musicians, fireworks at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so those are two things that are happening in the city, right?
And by the way, fireworks are illegal in Brampton. So
yes,
remember the last Diwali? It was also election night. I for a week my throat was itching me because the amount of smoke outside. So come on, Brampton, let's not light any fireworks. The city's spending our tax money to put on a great show. If you want to participate, go there on Sunday night at 10. Don't do it from your home.
Yeah, because I mean, it's obviously tax dollars to pay for the fireworks, and what they're trying to do is get everybody into one place and have it there. I don't know why they didn't hold it down at Chinguacousy Park. I don't know what maybe there's probably 910. That's Sesquicentennial Park in 910 area. There's a lot of Punjabi people up there. Probably not so much down around Gage Park, but not Gage Park, but
we should find out why they chose that park. It is a big park.
It is a big park, but it's mostly 910. So I don't know. Maybe
I'm more curious why they chose to do the fireworks at 10. It might just be because they don't want people leaving too early and doing it later at night. But because it's already dark now, Don. What is it? It's not even 7 o'clock, and it's pitch dark outside. Yeah. So imagine waiting another 3 hours when it's get colder. to do the fireworks. I think it's a bit too late. I think they should at least
You're
gloves.
not- gloves.
I'm allergic to cold weather, Don. Gloves aren't going to help me.
Yeah, you're from Guyana. Right?
I'm going to get one of those battery pack jackets this winter with
Oh,
the
yeah?
battery pack gloves. Hopefully it doesn't ignite on me.
Oh, the other thing too that I wanted to mention, yeah, the Miracle on Main Street that launched the other day. Tiger Jeet Singh he's collecting toys
Foundation,
for kids. I think they go to the Boys and Girls Club, the hospital, Aaron O kids. They drop off toys. You can donate to that cause. And November 17th, which is next Saturday, is a tree lighting down at Ken Williams Square, and Tiger Jeet Singh will be there with his father, Ali, and they will be collecting toys at that event as well.
The
So
17th is a Friday, Don. It's Friday night.
it's Friday night? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go down, drop off a toy, unwrapped toy. They will wrap it. They'll deliver them, and then they'll have them wrapped and stuff like that. So these are for kids, whether they're in the hospital and they can't go home for Christmas, or they go to families that can't really afford it. So it's a good cause. Tiger Jeet Singh is Miracle on Main Street.
And the Christmas tree is being lit. The whole
yes. Then
Willis
they
Square
light the
there.
H Park and the Christmas tree and everything else. And
It's always a fun time, especially if you have kids. So if you've never been there, get there a little early. There's always vendors and stuff selling hot chocolate.
well,
and
there's
stuff.
rides and stuff like that too for the
Well,
kids.
there was rides last year and animals.
Last year, yeah,
are they gonna have that this year?
Yeah, they had like horsey rides and stuff like that. That was in the other park, Gage Park.
You mean pony rides?
Pony rides, whatever, right? Armadillo rides. If you're down, like cat rides,
Okay. All right, Don. We got one last comment. Let's see here. Nikki. Oh, Santa Claus Parade is November 18th.
Oh, that's right. And then the Santa Claus Parade is on the 18th. That's right. So you got the tree lighting on the 17th next week. Then you got the Santa Claus Parade, and that starts at Central Park Drive, going up Bramley Road, and then it turns east on North Park.
Yeah. And Don and I will be at Remembrance Day on Saturday, so hopefully all of you can join us.
Remembrance Day will be at Diwali, we'll be at the tree lighting, and we'll be at the Santa Claus Parade.
You probably can't spot me in a crowd because I'll blend in, but you could probably spot the tall white guy with gray hair.
What does that mean?
You call me racist, Don? I'm not racist.
Anyway, we're 2 minutes over, so that's the end of the show. We will see you next Tuesday because I don't think we have anything going, but maybe you can actually get a promo ready.
You know what? Here's what I'm not doing any more promos. I want the show to look really bad so that when we start back up in December with the new everything, it looks wow, that looks fantastic.
Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see about that. Anyway, we'll see you. Don't forget, you got the Remembrance Day coming up, and you got the Diwali celebration on Friday and Saturday, or Sunday, sorry. So we will see you then, and thank you for joining us.
Peace.
Out.
All right, here we go.